Alright, working on this 2017 Nissan Rogue here. We're going to be replacing the radiator in this today. Now while I'm at it, I'm going to also be replacing this lower radiator support. But if you don't need that part, you can just skip that. But I'm going to cover everything detail that you're going to need to do as far as replacing this radiator. And let me just go ahead and show you the parts I've got here. So here's our radiator. I will leave a link to this brand here. I've had really good success with this for aftermarkets. And if you look right down here in the middle, this is where your drain plug is going to be. I'll show you how we're going to get to that on the vehicle here. Now this piece here is the reason that the radiator itself is being replaced. This got damaged, hit from underneath, and it bent, and actually bent this little foot here in. And so even with replacing the radiator, it's not going to do a whole lot of good because it's not even going to set on the one I have right. So I had to get this lower radiator support here. Now if you do have to replace this, you want to pay attention to if yours is a sport model or just a sport utility, because there is some difference. So basically just look at the little tabs there where your little feet on your radiator set, and you want to compare it and make sure it looks the same. But this part here is actually the Nissan part. If I can get a hold of a used OEM, I prefer to get them because they're usually made a little bit more accurate, and they always seem to work out the best. First thing I'm going to do is get some jacks and jack stands. We're going to lift it up slightly so we'll be able to access underneath. Show you some things here first. Go ahead and take the time to chalk your rear tire. Okay, so I've got it lifted up and got some jack stands. Let me show you where I've got those placed. Okay, so I've just placed it here on both sides. Now you want to make sure that you attach your jack stand up here, because if you put it back here, it will actually bend that in, because that's a lot flimsier back here. So make sure it's up here on this portion. Or you could place your jack stand up here under the subframe somewhere, but I'm putting them both back here where they're out of the way. We're just going to leave the jacks, leave the jack stands. If you don't have two jacks, then you can, just use one and put the jack stands or whatever you feel comfortable with. Alright, so first thing up, you're going to come in here and you're going to have these fender liners, and you're going to have to pop a few of these places out. Now this one on this side is missing, and I've took the one out on the other side previously, and I'm unlikely to even put it back. It just gets old removing these. Every time you got to come in here and do something. But once you get this here, this fender liner popped loose, you're going to have to pop this, and you're going to use like a trim tool and basically come around here and pop this loose. Now you're also going to have a screw right here, I know, and then there's a few back here. Now you don't have to take this entire thing off, but you need to get it popped loose up here some so you can get access to this 10mm right here. Now I've already had mine completely off and probably broke half of these clips, so we're just going to go ahead and take that out of the way. So like I said, it's the same thing on this side. I've already got this one out, and you have to first pop this, get this screw out of the middle, pop that off to be able to get access to this right here. You don't have to have the fender liner out, but you have to get the fender liner loose from these two spots right here. Okay, so we're looking underneath here. Now you're going to come underneath. You're going to have some, possibly a couple screws and some clips. These were already missing, so I can't tell you where they're at. So you're going to have to pop those loose, and you're going to have to also take it loose from the fender liner down there at the end. So if you look right here, you can see where the fender liner is connecting in. Probably a couple of clips right here, so you're going to want to pop those out. So you're going to have to deal with that and your fender liner, popping it loose first. Alright, so next thing up, we'll go ahead and take out this 10mm here. This is a coarse threaded screw. Get the one on this side. Alright, next thing we're just going to pop this out. It's not going to come off yet, so we've got some more clips. Let's go ahead and pop that out. Same thing. Are you going to take a trim tool up here? We're going to get these clips. Got a couple more. Okay, next thing up, we got a couple of these weird little tabs here on each side. See that? We got one right over here. Alright, so we're going to take a flat screwdriver, we're going to push them so we can pop that out. So, I honestly can't remember how I did this last time. All I know, I was mashing around on it and it finally popped loose. So it's got like, it clips from a couple different directions here. And you have to push in on the top here essentially, and then you push on the side. And then I'm going to come through here when I can see it. Start seeing the tab coming through. Alright, so it's holding on here. Give me a moment. Okay, now I remember there's a mechanism underneath here that you got to push up on. If you can see, come underneath and then it pops loose. So you got to push that tab underneath. It is super windy out here today. Alright, we're ready at this point to go ahead and start taking this off. You want to be careful so you're not damaging the bumper. Alright, so I got the bumper inside before the wind blew it away. I'm probably going to lower it back down some, but I want to go ahead and get the coolant drained at this point. Well, this wind is blowing so hard, I don't know if I'm going to be able to drain the coolant here. Alright, so if you look right up here in the middle, you'll see this spout. Alright, so if you can see up in there, you're going to come up in here with a Phillips. And we're going to start loosening this up. I can't even see what I'm doing here. So you're just going to have to look up in there to get it into position, and then you can start draining it down or turning it here. Or I'm trying to like block the wind with some cardboard here to at least get this drained out. Alright, there we got it draining and splashing. So this coolant's still good in mine, and I'm gonna plan on reusing it. And we're just gonna filter it, I'll show you that. Now you want to take your cap loose as well to help it drain down. I'm going to let this drip a little bit, see if this weather's going to calm down here. Okay, so I went ahead and put the plug back in the bottom of the radiator there so it's not dripping the whole time. We're going to go ahead and get this poured up so no animals or anything's getting into it. This is just a paint filter. A lot of times this coolant is just fine to reuse. So you can see that we filtered all the debris that came off of the car when it was draining. So this is the coolant you're going to use, this blue coolant. When you refill it, you can get this pretty much anywhere. And I got this from Walmart. I think it was like 11-12 bucks for a 50-50 jug. Okay, next thing up, you see that we have this piece, this plastic piece here. There's going to be a few bolts. There's some clips right here. They're actually behind this. But in order to get to these bolts and get this out, we got to remove the headlights. The very first thing we're going to get on here. So the headlight, you can see we've got 2 bolts, and we have a clip come over to the side. We've got a bolt 10 millimeter. We got this little nub here that slots, goes into that slot to line it up. Come down below, and there's one hiding right up in there. So that is all of our 10 millimeters. We'll go ahead and get those out. So I'm going to go under here and get this bottom one first. If you can hear anything, probably should get the microphone. This wind is not let up in like 2 days. Okay, so there's that one. Now this wire is clipped right here. You're going to have to pop that down. I just left that undone from the previous time. They like to clip everything to everything, and a lot of times it's unnecessary. Alright, so there's that one. Alright, so let's get the two up top. So this clip's sole purpose is mainly to kind of hold things and line things up till you get the bolts in, so if it breaks, it's not the end of the world. Alright, so we should have everything loose. So that wire will be connected to the bottom that I showed you. You'll need to unclip that. Alright, so we're going to, down here, start disconnecting these connectors. Just squeeze here. And you're going to have to really squeeze. There's that one. This one, if I can flip it around here where you can see something. Okay, so this one right here, squeeze down there. May have to get a screwdriver. Okay, so just pushing down right there. This one here, same way, gonna push down right there. And it's going to be really stuck there initially. So those are definitely difficult to push down. Okay, and with that, this is ready to come out. And then we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. If you have not already, go ahead and disconnect your negative. We should have had this disconnected already. You can either loosen it here, or you can take this, I believe this is a 13, you can take that loose and pull that off there. So make sure that that's set aside. We're going to focus on this hood latch here. It's pretty simple. Okay, so right here we're going to squeeze in on these tabs. We're going to just pull that back and out of there. Now that just hooks there, so you're going to just work that right back out of there. Okay, and similar over here, we're going to squeeze here and pull that back. Slip that right out of there. And on this end, all it does is slip right off there. So just like that. So we have that loose. Now this is loose from both sides. We don't have to break our clip there. Okay, we're going to get this piece here loose. We just fold this down. Got a couple of 10 millimeters on each side. Alright, you can see that that's loose. Right here over this airbag sensor, impact sensor, we've got a 10 millimeter nut. Alright, so when you remove that, it just removes the protective cover. And then we can just slip this off, which we just need it slipped out of the way so we can get to these two. Now these two are 13s. Now get in the habit of putting your bolts back where they go or you'll never remember. So we're just going to kind of slip this whole thing just down here a little bit. And if we have to do any more with it, we will. Now once you come up here, you're going to have a couple of clips here and right here that's going to pop out. We've got one right here. It's coming up from this little side flap. Okay, the 10mm bolts are right down under here. There's that. Okay, now we will slip this piece up and over. Okay, it helps if you got the cap off. Slip it up and over that. And this just has the rubber grommets that hold the top up here of the radiator to stabilize it. I just pulled that foam piece off. It just pulls out of those two little holes there just so I can set those down a little more out of the way. Alright, I'm going to get these two clips right here. Now this part over here has a 10mm, and this just you squeeze right here and we can pop this up. We'll set that piece aside. Alright, we're going to push down this connector right here. Pop that loose. Now we do need to pry this off here. Sometimes these will break, these clips, and there's nothing you can do about it. This cable, pop that loose. It's a good idea to mark this with a permanent marker, so you put it back about in the area. It's probably going to be close, but not a bad idea to mark it. We're going to take these three 13mm out. So get in a habit of just putting the bolts back where they go. So we're just going to kind of set this over here side. Let's put these back. Alright, next up we've got three of these 13mm, and we got three right here. And you notice I put a little bit of a mark just so I can kind of center it back up where it was. Alright, now we can start lifting this up and out of here. Alright, now we can finally start doing something. I think we're going to start with separating the condenser. We've got a couple of 10mm. Now down at the bottom of the condenser, you see just lift up on that. It just sets right down in there. Just lift that up. So same thing over on this side, just lift it up off there. We're going to pop this off while it's here handy. It's popped out of this little clip. Now make sure to point this upwards or it's going to sit there and drip from the overflow tank. Now on the front of your fan, you're going to have all these clips. You're going to have to this clip goes around here to the condenser. So you want to get all these popped out. So there's one over here on this side. So all the way around, you want to work those out. So we're just working our way around here. We also got a connector. You need to push down right here and get this fan. So I find this little screwdriver to work the best. You have to push down pretty good. Alright, so all the wire is loose from the fan. Alright, so the easy part, we just pull this back. So these hoses will stick like something you've never seen. The trick's to get yourself a heat gun if you don't have one. Set it on 3.5, 4, and just start heating this thing up until you can twist it and get it to break loose. And it's going to take a minute to get it really good and hot. Alright, and once we get it broke loose, and you want to keep your pan down there because it'll just continue to drip. Now you probably don't have to do this. I'm going to get this O2 sensor out of the way here just so you can see a little better. Alright, so let's get down here. Do the same thing. Let's move that back as far as we can. This in here is going to be worse. You're going to have to heat it up even more. Alright, so we got it broke loose. We got our pan down there so we can catch any more. Alright, so we're still not done yet. We got to get down there and get the oil cooler lines for the transmission. So I think we're going to remove a few things here. It's not that difficult, and can better get to these lines under here. Alright, I'm going to work on removing this piece here first. There's a couple of 10mm nuts down here, and I think there's some clips. There's the first one. Okay, when you come down over here, you're going to have some clips here and here and over here. Alright, so once those are out, you can pull this down. And alright, so you just twist this, and that'll fall down. Alright, so here is the transcooler line over here on the passenger side. That push back far enough to where we can get the hose. Alright, so we're just going to push that off, and we'll have a little bit of fluid. And what I like to do is just stick a bolt in here, and that's going to minimize how much dripping it does. Now up here on this part, I'm going to simply use the little cap that came with the new radiator. Alright, so that's took care of. Let's go here to the middle. You can get a good view at the drain spout here now. Alright, so now I'm down here at the middle. We're just going to do the same thing we did on the other side. And I got my pan here because it's going to drip. And it's poured out. Let's get it plugged. Alright, so we're going to slip this on here, and that should stop all the dripping. Now at this point you probably can't get a good visual of how bent up this is, but it is bent kind of up and back quite a bit. We'll see when we do a comparison. So the radiator is just going to lift up and off of here, and you can see this one here is broken, but it's got these little rubber grommets that the little piece on the foot there goes into. So you can see on this side. Now it could be the whole thing pulls out of there, but it should come out nevertheless. Okay, so there we got it lifted out of there. Right now we're just going to lift the whole thing, get the condenser off of it. We're going to lift the whole. Oh, okay, we got the transcooler hoses. Oh, hold on. So we got the lines unhooked from the spouts, but I failed to disconnect these, and they just clip in to these areas here, so you got to get these unclipped. And we need to kind of go over this hose. So now we have it free. So there we have it. And this thing is busted over here on this driver's side. It's just pouring out. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is just get this fan swapped over here to the new one. Alright, first thing up, we're going to get over here. Alright, so these down here just slip into this spot, so just kind of lift it up. And there we have it. Alright, we just flipped it around here so we can get our 10 millimeters in. So this is just the lower hose. The way you know you got it back in the same spot, you can see I've got a paint mark right there, and that's just on the center line of this. So just put it on there and eyeball it right there with that nub. As long as we do that, it'll be back where it's supposed to be. Alright, now I got to work on getting my brace, this lower radiator support off here. Got 3 of these 17s on each side. Leave it there to hold it just a second. Alright, so I said this part may not concern anybody else, but it does concern me. You can see the difference, how this one over here is bent up and everything. This one's sitting nice and flat. So we need to get our little rubber grommets back on here. There we have those. Go ahead and get this back in place. I'm going to torque these to 35 foot-pounds. Now I don't know what this bolt size is, or I would get a tap, but I'm gonna have to figure that out. This one here got messed up. I'm either gonna have to replace that nut insert or try to re-chase it, but whatever reason it ain't threading and it's just gonna mess the bolt up, so this will be good for now. Alright, so we're ready to get this back in here, and we're gonna set those transmission cooler hoses back in their spots. Just gonna set the condenser back on here. These are just going back into their spot. Alright, so we're going to put these transmission cooler hoses right back over the top of this, and we'll pop them right back into their spots there. And they also has one over here. Alright, now we need to get it on the spouts. Alright, so got a clamp on. Now, I will say that the amount of CVT fluid you're going to lose is going to be minimal, but it's going to be whatever is in the old radiator. So you definitely would be advisable to check it. But from what I understand, there's more danger of overfilling them than them being just a little bit underfilled. Now I should point out that right now would be a good time to replace both the upper and lower hose, but I did not think about it. So, but I'll probably need to do that in the future. This hose has a couple of places that it pops into. One of them's right here, and the other one's right back here. Now I'm just going to be snugging these up. If you wanted to torque them, I'd probably 15-20 foot-pounds. I think I got it in the right ones here now. Again, I'm just going to snug these up. this little clip here splits. Slip it back on there. Now you can put your clips here and here. I'm just not even messing with those. Okay, I changed my mind. I did put those clips on there because I didn't want it flopping around potentially. I'm just working this little plastic piece in here. And we're just going to slide this one over this and back onto those little studs there. All right, we got our clips in. Alright, so I was able to get a jug and a half in there, and that's enough to run it and work the air out. Alright, so that's going to do it on replacing this radiator. At this point, of course, you would just run the vehicle and work the air out and fill it as needed. Now, I can't do that at this point because I got some more work I got to do to the car. So we're going to end it right here. But I'll leave a link to the radiator that I got, and hopefully this can help someone else out and show you what's involved in getting this off here. So anyways, please like, share, and subscribe, and thank you for watching.